Welcome to a special edition of the Black Mirror Report. I'm your host, as always, Black Mirror. I'm here with a special guest, Miss Roshonda Clark, and this is such an interesting story. Like, I've never heard anything like this before in my life. I'm not that old, but I don't think you guys have either. I'm gonna let her tell her story. The floor is yours, Miss Clark.
Okay. Well, I entered a race here in Aliceville for a city council, District 5. First, you should know District 5 consists of, I would say half white, half black constituents. Okay. In the beginning, August the 24th is the election. There were 4 candidates. It was me, a young lady, and 2 gentlemen. There was a runoff election because of the vote. So the runoff election was this past Tuesday on October the 6th. After the runoff election, there were some concerns of mine, and I voiced those concerns to our voting poll manager. I'm not sure what his title was, but I felt like I was missing some absentee ballots. There was also some people that came to vote for me in the August runoff that was not able to vote for me in this past October runoff because their name was taken off the voter list for one reason or another. I'm still not sure of that reason. But either way, they were turned around and not able to vote, even though they were supposed to be given provisional ballots. And we figure out the problem later, but they wasn't even allowed to get a provisional ballot and vote. Okay, so let's go to the provisionals. This past Tuesday, we opened provisionals from the runoff election on October the 6th. Provisionals are, let's say, when you go to vote, you're supposed to be given this ballot, even though you may not be on the list, or you think you should be in my district, but they're not showing you in my district. Or if you did an absentee ballot, and your absentee ballot came in on the day of the election. Something of that sort. There's a lot of ways you can do provisionals. Okay, it was 6 provisionals. It was 4 for myself and 2 for Miss Rebecca Gilliam. Before the provisionals, the number count was supposed to have been 101 for me and 103 for Miss Gilliam. Because of the provisionals, adding 4 to my number and 2 to hers, it ended up being a tie of 105 and 105. City Attorney John Russell explained to us that the City Council is responsible for breaking this tie by means of voting, or shall vote, the terms he used, shall vote. The City Council agreed, we're going to vote. Everybody agreed we're voting. Comes down to the voting. First City Councilman Thomas Wilkins declined, abstained to vote, would not vote, walked out of the meeting and left. Okay, after he agreed to vote. Went to the next councilman, which is Councilman Max Allen. He voted for Miss Rebecca Gilliam. Third councilman, Councilman Robert Wilder, voted. He voted for Roshonda Clark. Fourth councilman, Mr. Warren Lavender, voted for Roshonda Clark. Next councilman, Mr. Terrence Wyndham, asked for a coin. I was in awe and everybody else was looking, okay, what's the coin for? He said, I'm going to toss the coin for my vote. So, okay, I've never heard of it, and frankly, I don't understand why would you be doing that when we're supposed to be voting. Well, he asked me, what do you want, Roshonda, heads or tails? I said, I want neither because I want you to vote. Miss Gilliam said, okay, give me head. She took heads, threw it up, became my vote. It was tails. Roshonda Clark. Second person on the roster to vote was our mayor, Marva Gibson. Mm-hmm. She said, okay, since you got the coin to toss, give me a coin. I want to toss one too. I want to toss for my vote.
Wow.
Okay, at this point, I'm in awe because I'm like, when do we, as people, use a coin as our voice? But okay, I'm still looking in disbelief. But someone gives her a coin and she asked me, what do you want? I said, I want no parts of it. I want you to vote. Miss Gilliam again said, give me head. And of course, it goes on. Marva throws it up and it becomes heads. It's for Miss Gilliam. So that's 3 for Roshonda and 2 for Miss Gilliam. So at the end of this toss-up in this voting procedure, our city attorney, John Russell, says, well, I don't think this is valid because it's not the majority vote. Now, my light bulb came on. If you thought this was majority, looked like you would have stopped this when the first councilman walked out. But we went on with the voting process.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's 3-2 for me, he said, well, let me call somebody and see, is this fair or can we go on because it's only 5 people voting instead of 6. Okay, I'm still sitting there like, okay, here we go.
Is this at the point where he contacted Alabama Secretary of State John Merrill?
Yes, this is the point where he supposedly contacted him. He left out of the room and came back and said that he had contacted the Secretary of State, and they said that in the case of no voting, because I'm not sure if he told him the whole story, because yes, you can go straight to the probate judge if there's no voting process. Mm-hmm. But the voting process had been done. So the next process, if the council people decided that they didn't want to vote, would be to call the probate judge and let him decide. Not throw up a coin, but the rule book says decide. Mm-hmm. Okay. He gets there and the city attorney tells him, we need you here to flip the coin to see who gets the city council seat. Okay.
So this was John Russell telling him, again, flip a coin.
Yes. And so John, the probate judge, who is David Pate, says, I've never done this, don't know how to do it, don't know where to start, don't know who's supposed to get heads or tails, or who makes the suggestion or says who gets it, So he looks around and asks the mayor, he asks the city attorney, Russell, he asks some of the council members, who wants to be the person to say who's heads and who's tails? Nobody wanted it. Nobody wanted that responsibility. So he said, I'll make the decision. Gilliam, your heads. Roshonda, your tails. Okay. I'm looking like this has become a show. Mm-hmm. So, of course, he throws it up. He said, I'm not sure where we're supposed to count it, but let's see where it ends, and we'll call it from there. So it lands on heads. And that's going to be for Miss Rebecca Gilliam. So that's where we are at this point.